Hey, podcast listeners and metaphysicians. This is episode 93, Keys to the Universe. And it is story time here at Let's Get Meta. I've never had an episode quite like this, but come and hear a story that I went through recently that gave me the keys to the universe. Enjoy the episode.
You're listening to Let's Get Metaphysical. This podcast explores the spiritual and metaphysical world through the experiences and opinions of the host and those interviewed. It should not necessarily be seen as direct endorsement or personal advice to our listeners. We encourage you to use your own discernment, judgment, and intuition regarding anything you learn from this show.
Let's get meta.
Welcome to the Let's Get Metaphysical Podcast. I'm your host, Renata Hana Maniaci, here to remind you that you are a spiritual being having a temporary human experience here on lovely planet Earth. Make the best of it. This is episode 93, Keys to the Universe. I am going to be telling you all a story that happened over the last few days with me here in Costa Rica. It's been most instructive on many levels, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and I hope that you find it instructive too. But first, I wanted to give a few announcements. Happy New Year's again to everybody. I hope everyone's 2022 is starting in the best possible way. Remember to make your intentions. Tell the universe what you want for this year, what you want to get out of this year, what you want to learn this year, the areas you want to expand in, where you want to grow. The last episode, Crystal Clear Intentions, would help you to do that. Some really good tips about asking for exactly what you want. Let's Get Meta also has a new beautiful website. If you haven't checked out our website in a while, it's really pretty. So go take a look. It's www.letsgetmeta.com. And I am very, very happy with it. So let us know what you think. On that website, just as a reminder, is where you can find your free gift, my free gift to you, which is the Let's Get Meta Master Clearing. This is for folks who are ready to take another step in their spiritual development, maybe don't know quite how to, but I'm quite gifted at clearing energy that is no longer useful and making way for new energy that is useful and clearing out blocks to certain things. And that's what this clearing is. It is clearing any block specifically to going to the next level spiritually, to communicating with your guidance, your highest divine guidance, your soul, things of that nature. So that's my gift to you, and you can go receive that at letsgetmeta.com. At the very top of the webpage, it says receive your free master clearing, and you just click on that, you put in your email, and you get an email link to the video. And you just watch the video, and the clearing happens as you watch it. It couldn't be simpler. So that's my gift to you. Check that out if you have any interest. You will then also be put on my mailing list, which I can't even remember the last time I used. I'm not a big emailer, guys. So go ahead and do that. You will not get spammed. In fact, I probably should write an email soon, but I just haven't yet. And with that, let's get into this episode. Masters and angels, I request your presence, your help, your guidance, your support. Please allow me to bring through exactly the messages, the keys and codes that need to come through for all those listening today. Specifically about keys to the universe. That's the theme for today. Please help me to always speak the truth, know the truth, be the truth, and become the truth. And please allow whoever in the world needs to hear this episode for it to reach them. Thank you with gratitude and full faith. Bless creation. I just realized recently that I used to say, "Are you ready? Let's get meta." And I've kind of replaced that with my prayer invocation. And I miss doing that too. So let's also say that today. Are you all ready? Let's get meta. So I'm going to tell you a story to start out, and we'll see what drops in and where this goes from here. I got back to Costa Rica about a week or so ago, and I was at my home, and to be honest, I've been grieving. My heart has been grieving some people, and I guess some just experiences of life circumstance that have changed over last year. Last year was a very transformative year. And shortly after I arrived at my home in Costa Rica, I decided I actually needed a break from that space, and I needed to go elsewhere and just grieve somewhere different. And as the universe would have it, one of my best friends from the United States, who does not live here, just happened to be in the country about 2.5 hours away from where I live. So I hopped in my car and I decided to visit her for a couple days and then move on to a different place. So I went down and spent a day or so there. I didn't get to see my friend that much because she was kind of busy at that time, but it was just good to get out. And finally, I did get to meet up with her, and we went for a beautiful long walk on the beach at sunset and had a wonderful talk, like the talk that you need to have with one of your best friends when you're in a state like that, right? When you're going through something, when you need to process with somebody, when you're grieving, when your heart hurts, right? I really needed her for that. And that's what we did. And it was a beautiful conversation, and I was feeling so much better, right? I needed that at that moment. And we finished this lovely walk, and we got back to my car, and I went to put my key into the door to unlock it. And I twisted the key to unlock the door, and the key snapped off. Like half of it was in the handle, and the other half was in my hand holding it. And it's the only car key that I had. And my heart just stopped. I pride myself a little bit, I guess, on knowing what to do in most situations. I feel like I'm a very capable, able person, fairly independent, etc. And in this moment, my mind just kind of exploded. I had no idea what to do. A series of different ways this story could end flashed through my mind, including me never being able to get in my car again, me having to abandon my car, me having to tow my car, 100 miles in Costa Rica to somewhere that could help me. And keep in mind, I'm in a town that I don't know. I'm 2.5 hours from my home in Costa Rica. And I'm with somebody who does not live in Costa Rica and doesn't know anybody in Costa Rica. So I'm sitting there dumbstruck and just kind of staring at the key, and she comes around and kind of stares at the key. And both of us remained calm, but I was just completely at a loss. I just kept saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And it was sunset, right? So it's getting dark, and we're at a beach that I don't know, and everyone's leaving the beach. You don't stay down there at night. So a series of things happened at that point. I showed the key just I had nothing else to do. Here in Costa Rica, we have these guys who watch your car when you park somewhere like a beach or something like that. And you're supposed to pay them a little bit, and they make sure that people don't break into your car. They help you to park. And he was, I had interacted with him briefly on the way in to park, and he was there, and I just held the key up in front of him, and he was just like, "Oh my God," and in Spanish, "I've never seen that before. Wow." and so he didn't really seem to know what to do either. And as it was getting dark, my friend and I decided to walk up the path back towards town a little bit so that we could figure out something to do. And we started to do that. And we get maybe like 50 feet away from the car, and this guy carrying 2 surfboards runs up and says, "Hey, do you guys need help?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And I held up my key to my car, and he's like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy. I've never seen that before, but there's a guy that you should call, And so I followed him. He runs a surf school, and his place with all the surfboards was a couple minutes walk away. So we followed him. And at that point, my friend actually had to leave because she was there with her family and had a last family dinner that night that she couldn't miss. And I was, still in shock, but fine. So she left and I went with the surfer guy. And it turns out that the kid in the parking lot had told this guy what had happened just as he was coming up. And the surfer guy had ran after us to see if we needed help. So he found some other people who knew the number to a locksmith, a key maker. And it was interesting because I had sent, in the midst of this, I'd sent out a few texts just for randomly flailing for help. Like I sent a text to the hotel where I was staying to say, "Hey, this is what happened. What should I do?" I sent a text to the man I bought the car from, a few other people. And every one that I ran into, this guy included, and the hotel and even the parking kid said, "Talk to this guy." We'll call him Jorge just for privacy. "Talk to Jorge, talk to Jorge, talk to Jorge." Everybody said that. So they got me his number. I finally got a hold of him, and he said, "Just, wait by your car. I'll come by." So I went back down and hung out at my car, which it was completely dark now. And the parking kid had stayed there to watch my car to make sure that nothing happened to it. So I sat with him and we proceeded to have this wonderful conversation. He spoke almost no English, and I'm conversational in Spanish, but I couldn't speak the past tense at that time. But we had the deepest conversation I've ever had about love, about heartbreak, about grief and grieving. And it didn't even matter that neither of us completely spoke each other's language. We were totally on the same level. It was very sweet. And this whole time I'm still in this mindset of I'm never going to get in my car again. That was the only key. I have no other key. The key is broken. And Jorge arrives on his motorbike, and within 2 minutes fishes the second half of the key out of the thing, takes my other half of the key, and hops back on his bike, and he says, "Okay, I'm going to go make a new key at my workshop," and bikes off. And so I stay there with the parking kid, who we'll call Juan, who's my new best friend. And he's just this lovely, sweet, sweet soul. And we continue our talk about love and about heartbreak and about the universe and keys and whether or not I'm going to be able to get back in my car. And he's sitting there assuring me, he's just like, "You have to stay positive. You have to always be positive. Jorge's the best. He's the best. There's nobody better than him in the whole area. He's a master key maker. He can do this." And, meanwhile, I'm saying he had a recent breakup and his heart was broken. And I was saying, "You can't give up. You have to be positive. You're young, you're gonna have plenty of opportunity. Like, you have to keep your heart open. And he's like, no, it's done for me. It's over for me. And it was just like this really, really sweet, just genuine, authentic human exchange between two strangers. And we talked as long as it took Jorge to arrive back on his motorbike. And Jorge produced a key and he put it in the handle of the car and he wiggled it a little bit and it didn't open. And, you know, both me and Juan are sitting there watching with bated breath and like just excited and scared and you know, all of the emotions happening. And Jorge puts the key in and wiggles it around and it doesn't open, and he takes it out and he files it a little bit in a certain place and he puts it back in and it doesn't open, and then he files it in a certain place, and he just kept doing that. And about 6 minutes later, he put the key in, he didn't move it. He looked up directly at me and smiled, and then he unlocked my door. I'm never going to forget that look. Like, this guy is such a master key maker that he knew on what try he would be able to open the door because he could feel it with his hand and his intuition and his guidance. He knew exactly where to file the key to make it work. So we're in the car, you know, and then he sits down in the driver's seat and he starts doing the same thing with the key in the ignition, puts the key in, moves it around, doesn't turn on, brings it out, files. And this goes on for probably, 10, 12 minutes, something like that. And the whole time I have abandoned all, any decency, not decency, but I openly started to pray out loud to God and to the angels, please help me, come on, God, please help me, please help this key to work. And it was so sweet because both of them, were very open to that and also believe in God or the universe or creator, and made that known. And that was kind of the theme of the evening, is just how, to stay positive and how the universe takes care of you and people show up when you need them to show up and this whole thing, right? So he's putting the key in, taking it out, filing, putting the key in, taking it out, filing, and I'm sitting there praying, and Juan is sitting there looking excited and looking at both of us, and also I can tell that he's praying on the inside too. And then Jorge does the same thing. He puts the key in, he looks directly at me in my eyes and turns the key, and he turns the car on. And I just started to cry. And I'm sure so many of you listening are sitting there like, yeah, this happens all the time. Keys break, people go swimming in the ocean, they lose their keys, they have no key, they can't get back in their car. I didn't know this. For some reason, I've just never come across it in my life that you could make a key out of a broken key, or you could make a key out of no key, right? I just haven't I haven't gotten to that point in my life yet before this moment that was possible. So I didn't even know that was a thing, right? That's why I was thinking oh, I'm going to have to abandon my car and all this stuff. But the other thing is, everyone listening, this is Costa Rica. A man like this, a person like this, a master key maker like this, they're not everywhere. There's probably only, I got to know Jorge very well over the next 24 hours. The next day I went and had him make me more keys. I'll get to that in a minute. But there's only maybe 3 or 4 people in this country that could do what he did. Sure, there's plenty of people who can make copies of keys, right? That's normal. There's not many people who can do what he did. It is a skill. It's a really special skill. And maybe in the United States, we have more of those people just because we have more people in general. But that's not a common thing here either. So it wasn't a given that was going to happen at all, let alone right then. So I get in my car, I talked to Jorge. I'm going to meet him at his shop the next day so I can have a few more keys made and so I can pay him. And I give Juan a ride home. And it was just a really beautiful moment. And I'm just on a high from life, right? Because this gift had been given to me. None of the scenarios that flashed through my head at the beginning of this ended with me getting in that car and driving away 2 hours later, maybe 2.5 hours later, in Costa Rica, where everything takes longer, right? And I say that lovingly. It's just how it is here. Things just take longer. Not in my wildest dreams could I have foreseen the end of that scenario ending like that at all. So many things were just becoming clear to me in that moment. It was like I was having several different epiphanies, right? Like literally being created a new key to take me to where I need to go. You know, like the old one broke, and so a master key maker appears, you know, in the middle of Costa Rica to make me a new key. And, you know, the lovely conversations I had with Juan about the heart and grief and staying positive and keeping your heart open, all of these things. And also just being open to letting people surprise you. You know, I've had moments in the past where I'm just like, oh, these parking guys again, they just want, you know, they don't really do anything, and you pay them something. Like, I've had moments like that. Oh my gosh, am I never going to have a moment like that again? This kid is the best. You know, he's everything. And that's one of the biggest takeaways too, is that every single person can give you exactly what you need in that moment if you let them. It was a really big lesson for me. So many lessons. So I went back to Jorge's the next day and spent another couple hours with him while he was making my other copies of the key. It could have been faster, but I just was fascinated by him, and he's definitely, both of them are definitely earth angels. And, you know, this guy is a master key maker, and I'm always fascinated by people who are masters in their craft because you can tell there's an energy about them. And just asked him all these questions and everything. And it turns out, I mean, there's so many things I could talk about in the course of this conversation I could tell you, but, you know, so for example, had this happened, I said before that there's not many people in the country who know how to do what he did in these circumstances, right? People can copy keys, but making a key out of nothing or a broken key is a different skill set. And most people don't have it. So over the course of this conversation with him, I found out that had this happened where I live in Costa Rica, about almost 3 hours away, right? Like 2 hours and 40 minutes away. He is the closest person that knows how to do this. So even if this would have happened at home, this guy would have been that person for me. But the universe arranged it so that I happened to be 6 minutes away from where he lived. It's this divine energy that just, it was there and was holding me through that experience. As the way it unfolded, it became more and more clear that needed to happen. And not only that it needed to happen, then it was a Saturday night. This guy left whatever he was doing on a Saturday night to come and make me a new key. And he does this all the time. I asked him how many people he saved that way. And I used the word saved. He didn't use that word. He's like super humble and, you know, not thinking of himself as a hero or anything like that. He's just doing his work and in his quiet, patient, knowing way. And I mean, he said, I've done this for hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people. He'd been doing this for, I think he said 20 years. So the whole thing, you know, this whole episode is taken up by this story, right? So what is that for you? For me, that was my key to the universe. That was my clearing of some kind of level that I had been at, and then my stepping into a new level or expanding into a new area. I learned several lessons very quickly within a couple of hours, and they were very clear, right? Like this, and this, because it was time for me to learn those immediately and move forward. It gave me a new lease on life. I've always thought that everything is possible. I am a really positive person, but in that moment I had no idea what to do, right? So I'm just sitting there like, I have no idea what to do. And the universe just provides. So one of the things I wanted you to get out of this is to look at those moments of your life where you had no idea what to do and revisit those. Or maybe one of those is going to happen for you today or tomorrow or next week or next month. And you remember this story of being just completely frozen with your mind completely blank and not knowing what to do. But then remembering that you're surrounded by the divine love of the universe. And that every person can bring you what you need, literally. You'll be in the right place at the right time. You do have to have the attitude behind it. You can't be a wet blanket. You can't be a glass half empty person. At least I don't think you can in these situations. And just know that whatever needs to unfold is unfolding for you. And that you will find your keys, whatever they be, whatever you need a key to unlock, a part of your heart, a part of your mind that thinks you know better, your Costa Rica car that you love. Just ask for the help that you need, and you'll be given the keys that you need to open the right doors at the right time. So I'll leave it there for now. Thank you all so much for going with me for story time today. This was very much a storytelling episode. I don't know that I've ever had one quite like this before, but that's okay. This one needed to come out at this time. And I hope that it helps. I hope that something in there resonated with you in some way. And feel free to share that with me. As always, you can always reach me at info@letsgetmeta.com. The bonus content for today is going to be a clearing on anything getting in the way of you having your keys that you need, your universal keys. So join in for that. If you want to be part of that, go to patreon.com/letsgetmeta and join any tier, become an angel at any level, and you'll have access to all the bonus content. The clearings are really good. The readings are really good. All of it's good. So I'll leave it there for now. Thank you all so much for joining me. Stay positive. Stay safe. Gather all the keys that you need. All of the keys to the universe that you need for this next portion of your life moving forward. And stay meta.
The Let's Get Metaphysical podcast is an Up, and Awaken production. Our intention is to raise the vibration of the planet by sharing, validating, and normalizing spiritual and metaphysical experiences. If you are ready to raise your vibration, you might enjoy our free Let's Get Meta Master Clearing. To receive the Master Clearing or to learn more about the podcast, visit letsgetmeta.com. The show is produced and hosted by Renata Maniaci. Thank you for listening. Stay meta.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.